Hello everybody, welcome back to Throttle Grotto. Today I'm going to talk to you about ratchets and why you should buy an expensive ratchet. Now, you don't necessarily have to buy Snap-on or Matco or Mac, but you should really take your ratchet choice seriously, and I'll tell you why. Ratchets. We all use them. A lot of us use electric ones. I have an electric impact. I have a DeWalt 3/8 and a 1/2 inch one. I love them. But I also love my ratchets. My two favorite ratchets that I have. This one. This one is a Snap-on 3/8 drive ratchet. I have had this ratchet since, I think I bought this in 1999 from the tool truck. It is literally that old. I've had the handle replaced once. I need another handle. I really need to have like a new set of innards put in this thing. But listen to this. It's still, after 25 years and one visit to the tool truck, it still works great. It's still my go-to for anything I'm going to take apart by hand. It is just a great tool. But this is not cheap. This was $85 25 years ago. I have no idea what they cost right now. But the amount of times that I smashed my knuckles or broke something because I was using a Craftsman ratchet at the time, which is what we all did. We all went to the tool store. We went to Sears and we bought Craftsman ratchets, and then you'd break it, the mechanism would break inside, you just start spinning all over the place. You go back to the store again. It just got old. Like, they warrantied them, but it was like, to drive to the mall and like go to the store again, swap out my ratchet. So I always had a couple laying around. And like, oh, that one broke. I'll grab the other one. This one has never let me down. But the ratcheting mechanism is starting to get a little funky. So I got to find a tool truck and get this one rebuilt. But Snap-on 3/8 ratchet, it is one of my favorite tools I've ever bought. Another one of my favorite tools is this 3/8 inch stubby, get it up close here so you can see it. It's a stubby ratchet, but it's got a flexible handle. And it goes flexes both ways. It's not the greatest, see if you can hear it. It's not the finest mechanism in the world, but I bought this about the same time. And it's a company called TrueCraft, and they were distributed in tool stores around the country. This one you can see here actually was made in Japan. And I've used this so much that you can see that I've almost worn part of the name off the handle. But this one's never been rebuilt. Probably 25, 26 years old I've had this ratchet. I don't even remember what I paid for it. I think it was, I remember I was frustrated by the price, but the guy was like, hey, don't worry about it. If you have a problem with it, bring it back. It's got a warranty on it for life. I looked up the company before making this video, just out of curiosity. They went out of business in 2000. So I bought the ratchet and the company went out of business. But it has held up like immensely well. Like even the upper pivot here doesn't have a lot of play in it. So this was a tool that worked out really well. It was a good investment, and it's probably got another 5 or 10 years of use in it at least. But I will have to find another one of these because this is great. Now, for a couple of vintage tools, if some of you like older tools, why should you buy a tool like this? You're like, dude, have you ever been on a Snap-on truck lately? And the answer to that is no. They don't let me on Snap-on trucks very often because I don't work in the industry. I have to like find a truck and like flag them down and follow them to some shop. It's a pain. You can get really good tools not on the tool trucks. Just be critical of something that you're buying. Buy a used one. Like if you buy one used and it holds up. I've bought a lot of my tool truck tools from pawn shops. If you find one in a pawn shop, always don't forget to haggle. But my experience on getting quality tools is they last a lot longer and they go well past what the critical point of your tool is. I'm not sure that's the right way to describe it, but when you're underneath a car wrenching on something and you put a breaker bar on the end of this thing, so you can get a little more leverage because it's tight. A lot of inexpensive ratchets aren't going to hold up to that kind of abuse. You get a nice quality ratchet, it'll do more than what it's usually rated for, only once or twice. But there's always a bigger margin of toughness to a ratchet like this. And if the handle breaks, like this one has, you can see here, it's got, like, I ran it into something, taking something apart. It's got nicks. You can't even barely make out that it's a snap-on anymore. Like, the words are all rubbed away. As long as I still have parts for this ratchet, I can go to the tool truck, I'll put a new ratcheting mechanism in it, a new handle on it, and it'll look brand new. The other case I'm going to make for quality tools is these. These were my grandfather's tools. And I got them when he died. And he died in, I think he died in the early 2000s. And he hadn't been wrenching for a long time. He actually worked at a tire factory. And that's where he used a lot of his tools at. He was one of the mechanics and engineers at a tire factory. And so he used his tools pretty hard and they held up. I still have these and I still use these from time to time because they're still really good quality tools. We'll start with this one. This one is a snap-on 1/4-inch drive, and it says on here 6M-70M. I don't know what that means. It might say when it was made, but I just took this thing apart, hosed it out with brake clean, and put it all back together with some new grease. And by today's standards, it's not the smoothest ratchet. It's not micro engaging or anything like that, but it still works. And this tool, I guarantee, is at least 50 years old. Like, he probably bought this when I was a kid. And it still works. Now, I can't get parts for it anymore. I'll give you guys a close-up of this. 25 years ago, I took this onto the tool truck, and they said, "Oh no, there's no way, we can't do anything for you. There's no parts available, but we'll give you a trade-in for it." And I was like, "No, I'm going to hang on to that because it's my grandpa's tool. Got to keep that kind of stuff." Plus, I figured he's probably just going to flip it on eBay for a vintage tool. The last wrench is this one. This is another one of my grandpa's wrenches. It's a 3/8, and it's a company called Worcester. You can see there the Worcester logo on the handle. It looks really similar to a snap-on. It's probably either modeled after or Snap-on built their ratchets based on this. But it's another tool. Let's see here. Again, these are well before micro engagement and like 2 degrees of engagement, but it's not bad. It's for a 50-year-old ratchet, it's still a really great tool, and it still works, and I still pull it out of the toolbox, and I'll still use it at times. And I would presume that if I didn't wrench as much as I do out here, that this tool would also last another 50 years before it needed anything inside. But I use this tool a lot. I use all my tools quite a bit. I try to buy things that last. I don't like spending thousands of dollars on tools all the time. I don't have any tool sponsors for this channel or anything like that. My toolbox came from Costco. It's a great toolbox. I've had it for 20 some years, but I bought it at Costco. It has ball bearing drawers. It still holds tools. It still has wheels. It still rolls around. It's still a great box. I do wish I had one that was a little bit bigger, but then I'd just buy more tools. So I'm not suggesting you go and throw away your ratchets and head to the tool truck, but if your tools are wearing out because you bought ones that aren't going to hold up in the long run, like say for instance, you have one of these as your main ratchet, you might want to buy a new ratchet. You don't need new sockets, but you do need a new ratchet. This is great for loaning to someone at the junkyard. Under a lot of use, this tool, it ain't going to cut it. It ain't going to last. Next time you find yourself out shopping for ratchets, spend a little bit more. Get something that will be durable, something that will last, and something you can be proud of 20 years from now. That's all from Throttle Grotto. Until next time, get out there and work on something.